Today, I'm reviewing the Asus Zenbook 14, specific model number right here. I did receive this product for free through Best Buy's Tech Insider program in exchange for a written review on bestbuy.com. However, out of my own volition, decided to do a video review that will not bias my opinion in any way, shape, or form. To date, I think this is one of the few laptops that can compete with the Apple MacBook Air for bang for your buck, as it does almost everything right, has a great trackpad, great screen, great keyboard, lightweight, attractive design, good port selection, thin and lightweight, and only costs $750. Fortunately, I wish it came with a better processor, and the battery life, while solid, isn't great, but for the price, is a 10 out of 10 and an easy recommendation. I'm going to tell you why in today's review. Let's get nerdy. The absolute best part of this device is the screen. And I don't say that casually, as I tend to be hypercritical of screens. Usually, laptop screens are complete and utter dumpster fire trash. They're just terrible. Like, really bad. Unless if you're buying a flagship device, then you have an opportunity to perhaps get one that's like, all right. This breaks the mold by providing one of the best laptop screens I've ever seen in my life. In fact, it's probably the second best screen in my entire house, and even better than the one on my MacBook Air, with the second best screen being this guy right here. Literally, everything you do on this is a treat, as the contrast ratio is insane, the colors are punchy and accurate, text is sharp and clear at all levels of zoom, and it supports HDR with up to 550 nits. Viewing angles are fantastic, and the blacks with white text are absolutely delectable. Could go on and on, but simply put, the screen is a 10 out of 10. They also give you a ton of features to further tweak the screen, which is often completely missed on laptop displays, which means that you can actually select which color profile you're in, which I really enjoy. The 16:10 aspect ratio and resolution also helps a ton for productivity work, where I was easily able to see a lot of information, and with the OLED screen being so extremely sharp and crisp, nothing was ever blurry or hard to see. So we're about to get really nerdy here with the specs real fast. It comes with a 16:10 2880 by 1800 14-inch OLED screen without touch, 90 Hz refresh rate, yes, 90 Hz, that has a 90% screen to body ratio. Seriously, the bezels are tiny. 100% of the DCI P3 range, or 133% of the sRGB range, which is 1.07 billion colors, a 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio, up to 500 nits, 0.2 millisecond response time. What? And a 70% less harmful blue light while being flicker free, along with a bunch of certifications to make sure that this screen is the bee's knees, which you can find specifically on their website. In comparison, most other laptop screens in this price range are the complete opposite, which are maybe 1920 by 1080p resolution, 6-bit color compared to 10-bit color, which is 16 million colors compared to 1.07 billion colors, 10, which is just terrible all around for a screen quality, not color accurate, and has a ton of input latency. It also is usually maxes out at about 200, maybe 350 nits compared to 550, with large bezels, and usually maxes out at 60 Hertz. So a serious upgrade here compared to what you normally see, which I can really get behind. The only con that I have is that since it's an OLED screen, it is susceptible to more things such as burn-in if you have a static image in one place for too long. They do have software in place to help alleviate/prevent that from occurring, such as pixel refresh, pixel shift, and automatically hiding Windows taskbar while making it a bit more transparent. There is something called target mode that the active window brightness is normal, but the non-active window brightness is dimmed for power saving and minimizing possible OLED display aging. Personally, it doesn't work 100% of the time. It was frustrating, so I turned it off. Moving on to the touchpad. The touchpad is excellent as well. I tended to be very critical of these as well. The MacBook Air still has the better trackpad, easily, no competition, by a significant margin, but this one is one of the best Windows trackpads I've ever tried and is quite large. It is smooth, but I don't think it's actually made of glass because it has some other special features in it. Clicks feel good, don't require a lot of pressure, and is very responsive. If you hold the top right, it gives you access to a numpad, which is awesome and a neat feature. Pressing the top left of the touchpad allows you to change the brightness of said numpad. You can still use the touchpad as normal when the numpad is active, which absolutely blows my mind because I've never seen it and is great for saving space and maximizing your real estate. Moving on to the keyboard. The keyboard, something that is often overlooked as not being very important. Thankfully, yet again, they absolutely nailed this. Keys are large with easy to read font and backlighting, which is only in white and adjustable in 3 brightness levels, is even throughout. The shortcut keys are in the right spot. It feels great to type on as they are spaced well with just the right amount of actuation pressure, which is mild/moderate, with good overall travel, moderate distance. They actually say that it travels more than any other laptop key out there, and gives a nice tactile bump. They are also very quiet, meaning you can easily use it in a quiet room and not distract people. My only real complaint is there is no dedicated page up or page down button. Instead, they elected to leave that spot empty and it be reachable through the function key instead. Moving on to the processor, which is probably the second most disappointing thing in this, but is upgradable on their website allegedly, but maybe not yet. As of this video, or the last time I checked, comes with the Intel 12th Gen Core i5 1240p, which is a mid-grade processor that for most people will be more than enough, especially at this price point. However, power users like myself will notice that it just can't keep up. I'm one of those individuals and notice lag when doing normal everyday tasks, which for me include multiple things open, multiple tabs open in Chrome, and wanting to switch between them instantly, which it just couldn't do and couldn't keep up without some slowdowns. Likely due to the limited RAM, but it could also be because I'm maxing out just the CPU tolerances. I don't know. This was highly dependent on CPU/cooling settings. Main takeaway is that the CPU is solid for most people and will be more than enough, but was the biggest negative for me as it just couldn't fully keep up with what I wanted out of it as a power user. Gaming is not recommended as the Intel Iris Xe graphics can't keep up with most modern games, but actually does play some older games, which kind of blows my mind that a processor inside of a CPU chip can now actually run some old AAA games, but it does run mobile games perfectly fine. I didn't really try much of that because this laptop really isn't made for gaming. The 90 Hz made things a lot smoother, and I liked that a lot. Since people always ask if it can edit videos, I think yes, if you're doing very simple 1080p or lower videos. For example, I have a YouTube channel, as you know, as you're watching my video right now, and my edits tend to be very basic. I edited a video on here, and while it was perfectly doable, I'd recommend bumping to a higher tier processor, so it would easily be worth the price increase. Personally, I had 2 4K streams going, which was my A roll, which is what you're seeing right now, and B roll, which is when you're seeing the computer, and I had to put the resolution to 1/8, and slowdowns happened regular. Also, adding titles and transition was a lengthy process as it would often have to load and would skip through them, making me have to go through them multiple times. Export time also took a long time. When I tried to create a thumbnail in Adobe Photoshop, it also crashed multiple times after getting hung up. Processor itself handled most of this just fine. However, the Iris Xe graphics got destroyed trying to keep up and was the main factor holding me back as that constantly was at 100%. And the 256GB SSD kept up just fine, but of course you run out of storage very quickly. Fans were also on during all of this, but kept the laptop adequately cooled. I also don't think it is reasonable to expect a machine at this price point to handle video/photo editing flawlessly, but no people tend to be curious about these things, especially since the screen on this guy is so fantastic and makes it absolutely perfect for video/photo editing. Moving on to the RAM, it comes with the newest DDR5 RAM and is very, very fast. For most people, this will be enough. However, if you are a power user, having 16GB will get you a lot farther, as I found the RAM on this to be almost always full. Even when I was doing a single task, such as just browsing Chrome with a tab or 2 open, it would still be sitting at 7 to 8GB. The worst part is that this isn't upgradable as it is soldered onto the motherboard, so you get what you get. It does come with a Gen 3 NVMe SSD that puts up solid scores. Didn't have any issues with it. The computer, however, does support Gen 4 NVMe, but it only has 1 slot, which is unfortunate. So if you do decide to upgrade once again, you'll need to start from scratch and make sure that you're choosing the correct size that you want. Moving on to the battery, the second most disappointing thing about this laptop is the battery. I got about 6 hours out of it with multitasking on conservative settings in which I was watching videos, writing documents, email, web searching. Pretty much no matter what I tried, I ended up at that number, such as lower screen brightness, which was like 30 to 50%, turning off the backlight keyboard, lowering volume, turning down the fan, turning down the CPU performance, etc., etc., always netted me 6 hours-ish. So I tended to opt for the stop settings as that gave me the best performance and visual experience while giving me about the same battery life. I was able to squeeze a lot more if I immediately went into battery saver mode. They say it comes with a 75-watt battery that is supposed to last up to 18 hours and get to 60% charge in 45 minutes. I'm not sure where they got that spec because it is completely nowhere close to being accurate on this model, at least. Maybe with a different CPU, I don't know. It's like I said, 6 hours, 18 hours, not close. I also found that it took a really long time to charge compared to all my other laptops at about 2.5 hours. Perhaps the OLED screen and 12th gen processor take more juice than I was expecting, or I'm still using incorrect settings or have something running in the background that I'm completely unaware of, but I tend to be really good with that type of stuff. Or maybe the Ryzen processors really do use a lot less energy because all of my other laptops are running on the Ryzen platform over Intel. The speakers on this are quite impressive. They get quite loud and are very clear. I was able to watch videos without many problems. There were still times that dialogue was a bit hard to hear, but I'd say they are better than my MacBook Pro, which is really saying something and was something that I was not expecting. As when I do A/B comparisons, I usually pick this guy over my MacBook Air. And the MacBook Air to me is kind of like the laptop to beat for sound. I think most people will really enjoy these and they get plenty loud. I usually listen at about 30 to 50%, so I obviously had plenty of headroom, and the Dolby Atmos that this is able to do actually works semi-well, where sometimes when I was watching movies and stuff, I actually had a little tiny bit of directional audio, but nothing that really blew my mind. However, that picture quality during that stuff, mwah, beautiful. Moving on to the ports, it actually comes with great port selection, which includes a micro SD card reader, 2 Thunderbolt 4 USB-C ports, which include fast charging, 4K UHD external display, and up to 40 gigabytes per second data transfer, 3.5mm audio jack, HDMI 2.0B port, and 1 USB-A 3.2 Gen 2 port. I hate the number scheme for USBs. They're so dumb. The only complaint I have here is that the USB-C ports are on the right side of the device in the middle, which really get in the way when you have something or anything plugged into them, such as the power cable or a dock. As most people are right-handed and use a mouse on that side, with it being smack dab in the middle, you run into that cord an awful lot, which is very frustrating. When I had it plugged into my 4K monitor, I noticed no slowdowns or issues, and it ran just fine. Moving on to the build quality, it is adequate. They say that it's mil-spec 810H certified. It appears to be mostly made from plastic, which has some give to it, and I noticed some creaking to the body. There's also some flex on the screen itself. The hinge is stiff and keeps the screen in place wherever you place it, and can go up to 180 degrees, which is cool. You can also open it with one finger, but the screen wobbles easily. Overall, I don't have any real reservations of it breaking or cracking, but to say that those thoughts don't come into my mind on a semi-regular basis would also be a lie. So the MacBook Pro definitely feels a lot more premium. I think the color and aesthetics of this guy are also great as well. The deep blue is really attractive, and I like the lines on the lid. Granted, blue is also one of my favorite colors. Overall footprint is small while still having a huge screen for the size of the device, 14 inches in a 13-inch chassis, and thin at like 3-ish pounds, making it hyper portable. The laptop doesn't turn on when you open the lid. I enjoy that feature a lot, so it missing is a bit of a bummer to me. Boot time is extremely fast. Wake time is good when you have short periods in between. However, making it ready instantly, where other times I have to actually press the power button as the keyboard doesn't actually register that it's being pressed to wake it up, which then takes a very short amount of time to get back in. It would get warm when using, but never hot. When I first got the device, the fan was on regularly and was moderately loud, which tends to be the case when you're first setting up Windows, but then gets a lot quieter as you get into normal use. The pitch of the fan wasn't all that annoying for me. Overall temperature of the CPU was good, even when I was video editing and pushing it hard, so I don't have any complaints on that end. Comes with a 65-watt USB-C charging brick. The entire device also picks up smudges rather easily, and I had to clean it on a regular basis. Moving on to the conclusion, this is a fantastic laptop. Truly one of my favorites of all time, and goes head to head with my MacBook Air. The price to performance ratio here blows my mind and makes it an easy recommendation for me. I especially like that there are multiple price points for this laptop with varying internals, but the same external hardware. I wish it was more user upgradable, as I would love to put more RAM into it and a second drive, so do make sure that before you buy that you have the correct internals for your needs. Like, dislike, share, subscribe if you like. Otherwise, I will see you and your beautiful face on the next one. God bless and peace out.